All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your day dose coffee Q&A here. How you doing? Good to see all of you. We're back again, and we're here. So about a week ago, we made some cold brew, and it has been in the refrigerator, chilling out to see what's going to happen to it. And so what we're going to be talking about today is how long can you keep your cold brew to keep it fresh before it starts to turn bad. So one of the things that in general food service terms, we tend to think that 5 to 7 days is going to be the maximum amount of time that we're going to hold any product that we make under the right conditions. Now, in practice, at the coffee shops, the cold brew will make the cold brew, but then it doesn't last very long. So people have always asked me, like, well, how long does it last? Well, I don't really. We say 5 to 7 days, but we don't really know because, well, I've never had any to like keep around long enough until now, because we made that Tower Brew last week and we made a gallon's worth of ready to use cold brew. And now we're going to be seeing how it has been. Mom, good morning to you. How are you doing? So we made this batch. This is the remainder of the batch. And as you can see, this is a gallon container, and the gallon's pretty much full. I've really only taken 2 cups out of this serving that we made since last week, because honestly, I just don't drink that much coffee. So, and I didn't think too much about it. Even though this big container is sitting in the middle of my refrigerator, taking up a lot of space, I don't really think about drinking coffee or iced coffee much at all. So it's just my own personal predilection. But as you can see here on the label, and I do suggest that you consider putting labels on pretty much anything that you make at home. Like, it's a great way to remember when you made that chicken cacciatore, and you're like, oh yeah, I made it just a few days ago, and it turns out, oh yeah, you made it in February. You should probably toss it, right? So I try to do this as much as I can. And in commercial kitchens, we do this for everything. At home, we're not so. People think I'm crazy, if I do it at home. But I mean, me personally, when I have stacks of like Cambros filled with ingredients with labels on them, it just makes me feel good. Like, I feel that life is right in the world, right? But you don't have to do that. But you do want to do something. So it's nice if you put a label here that says what it is. And in this particular case, it has an S and a F date, right? So that means that it started on 3/11. We finished it on 3/12. So you can use either date as your start date to calculate the day that you should toss it. So from the 12th, we want to think by the 19th, which is today, we should probably get rid of this, right? If we're worried about it. But we're going to see, how does it taste. I did not really get a chance to taste the performance. If it declined over the past week, just again, I didn't really drink anything. Coffee Cove, how are you, Ben? Good to see you. Andrew, good morning. And Kent, how's it going? So we're going to see, like, you've all seen food in your refrigerator. You know what it looks like. It sometimes has growth. And if you have growth on anything, you probably should toss it, right? Unless it's cheese. Maybe on cheese, you can slice that away. Not that I've ever done that, but you could slice it away and continue on, right? There are some things, like a friend of mine messaged me the other day, and he was asking me, he sent a picture. He's like, it was a cigar related question. He's like, is this plume or is it mold? And in the world of cigars, the plume is crystallization of some of the oils, and it will come to the surface, and it's perfectly fine. It's just kind of one of those things that you see on a cigar. You're like, oh, it's really getting aged well. But if you have like fuzzy growth and it's mold, you probably should toss it. But if you've had it for that long, you probably saved it because it was kind of pricey and you kept it for a reason. And now you're like, well, should I just wipe it off and smoke the mold? Probably a bad choice. But so mold in most any situation is going to be a bad choice, right? So if you see mold, furriness, hairiness, green tinge, you should probably bin, especially in coffee. You should get rid of it. Although I don't think I've ever seen, well, I've never kept coffee that long. So let's get inside here. Whoops. I need to turn that on. One moment, please. It always takes a moment for the cameras to come alive. So now we're going to go here. There we are. And we're going to take a look inside. Do we have any growth? Do we have any kind of, off colorants? So I'm going to pull that off. Let's see. Now, looking at this, actually, there's actually that cherry strawberry aroma just kind of came off of this quite nicely. I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. Now, what we're going to do is we're looking for any kind of weird coloration, slickness. So what we're going to do is we're going to look here. And do we see anything? I don't really see anything. I'm going to look at from different angles. I mean, it looks fairly clean. And, I would expect this to be fairly clean because, it's been under the right conditions for the entire time without any kind of what we call time temperature abuse, where perhaps, so if you're not familiar with that term, so in the world of like refrigeration, you're trying to keep your food product at about 38 degrees or below without necessarily freezing it. So 38, 36, that's all good. But then, what we have is something called time temperature abuse, where something goes wrong with the environment of the refrigerator and it raises a temperature above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. If that happens for a length of time, that could cause spoilage or at least accelerate degradation of your food products. So everything in your kitchen, everything in your refrigerator is susceptible to this, right? So, meaning if you raise the temperature of your refrigerator, and that can happen by losing power, leaving the door open, opening the door too much. Now, if you've ever been to a commercial kitchen and you see commercial refrigerators, you open the door and it's like, it makes all this noise because there's a fan blowing it. It has this thing called active refrigeration, right? So it's blowing cold air throughout the box. Whereas if you open the one in your house, your home one, it doesn't have that noise. It's really quiet. And actually, this is really apparent to me because one year I took one of my refrigerators from one of the shops home, a little tiny 27-inch wide lowboy, a little counter height thing, and I put it in my kitchen because I thought it would be cool. And I kept it there for a whole summer. And then after the summer, I was like, well, I needed it back in the store. So I took it back to the store. And I didn't think anything of it while it was in the kitchen. But when I took it out, I was like, what is going on in here? Because there was no longer an active blowing fan. And the kitchen was quiet. And I remember being in the kitchen that afternoon, I was like, whoa. I did, because when you're in a commercial environment, you don't really notice it because you just kind of like blur that out. But when you see it, but after, you're like, whoa, man, it's so nice to work in quiet. But anyway, so that's one of the big differences with commercial refrigerations is that it has an active blower. So it's constantly circulating the air at a relatively high rate compared to home ones. Home ones, they just kind of let the ambient thing happen. So when you put warm stuff into your refrigerator or more importantly, hot stuff, it doesn't blow it away. It doesn't circulate the air. It just kind of like starts to level. So it takes whatever temperature this is. So let's say this is a hot drink. Let's say this is a hot thing. So let's say it's like, I don't know, 130 degrees, 140 degrees. And I put this in the refrigerator. Well, now the refrigeration, the cold is transferring the heat out of the product, right? That's kind of the whole thermal transfer. But that thermal transfer the heat is coming out of here into the environment of the box. And since the box is not blowing, and since the box is not actively cooling, it is now warming the entire environment of the box. And the more mass and the more heat that this has that it's trying to dissipate, the greater the effect that it's going to have on your refrigerator, right? If you have a little teeny tiny egg that you boiled and you took this shell, or just you boiled it and then you put it in the fridge, that's going to have an effect, but it's not going to be as tremendous. But you did this huge effect, and which could lead to foodborne related illnesses and things like that, which what we're really trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid, foodborne illnesses, right? And bacterial contamination of you and whoever you may be serving food to. Now, in this particular case, right, we've got this coffee and it's been 7 days since we made it. In a commercial environment, I would toss this. In a home environment, I might keep it longer. And why am I going to keep it? What kind of crazy thought would possess me to keep it? Well, first of all, Coffee is expensive. Life is expensive, right? If I want to go to Starbucks, this will cost me how much, right? 10, a whole gallon. And it looks like it's in good shape. I'd probably be prone to keep it for a few more days. And actually, if you're at home, you're probably going to keep it until you get spores growing on top. Not the ideal, but you're going to do that because it's just you. And we tend to be people that tend to have like a higher resilience to what we're willing to consume in order to save some money. Right? Like, I would encourage you not to do that. Like, I would encourage you to only make as much cold brew as you would actually need to consume in a week, which for me would be an individual serving. If for me to make cold brew, I would be making it individually every time I may have a craving for it, which is almost never. So, yeah, so that's something to consider, right? Like it's not good. It's not necessarily good economics to make a big batch if you're not going to drink it all. But if you are drinking it, then by this point, a week later, you should have consumed everything that you've made, right? And then you should be now moving on to the next batch, because more importantly, beyond just the whole food safety aspect, it's also about enjoyment, right? Pleasurable hedonism in coffee. We want to have something that's going to be delicious and enjoyable and lovely that we can be excited about drinking. And perhaps this may not be it because of the time. So let's have a taste and see where we are with our flavor profile of this coffee. Let's see if I can pour it well. All right, there we are. So it came straight out of the refrigerator just before I started the live stream, so it should be fairly cold. And we've got our glass here. I mean, it looks very classic cold brew. I mean, it smells nice. Compared to yesterday, or compared to last week, which the last time we drank this was on Thursday or Friday, we had a lot more clearer, like strawberry notes and dark chocolate with some cherry there. Now there's a little more stringency on the flavor. Like that peak flavor is no longer there. Like it's not, it has some reminiscence of that, but it's not as clear. It's not as nice. There's more bitterness. The finish here on the throat is rougher. Just not as good as it was. Like it's definitely past its prime. Now you could still, it's not that it's undrinkable. I mean, you can still very much drink this. You could add sugar and milk and make it really great. Like I bet if we did that, I don't have any milk to add. I didn't think about that, but I bet if we make really great. Actually, yesterday I was with Matt and we were at his shop and he was like, "Hey, you want some cold brew?" And I was like, "Sure." Because if someone's going to make me coffee, it's very unlikely I'm going to. Well, I should qualify that. If someone's making me coffee and I know that they can make quality coffee, it's unlikely that I will turn you down. If most of the time you ask me, hey, a lot of my friends, but hey, you want coffee? Usually I'm like, oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've had plenty today, because I already know the coffee they're making is just something that I probably will not enjoy. So. And you don't want to be one of those people that's just like, oh no, that's beneath me. It's just why make someone feel bad? Just be like, oh, I had so much coffee already that I should slow down because I'm starting to get the jitters, right? That way, you gotta make people feel better, right? And another thing that I also do is that if I do get coffee, I never give criticism about coffee, because people always want to know, oh, what do you think? Oh, it's very good. Because you know what? Like most people don't really want to know what you think. Like they want you to be like this guy that like knows what he's talking about. It's like, I've enjoyed that. And you know what? I probably did enjoy it. I enjoyed the company that I have with the person that I'm with, and that they wanted to make some coffee or share with me their coffee. That's a fabulous thing, right? And that's a wonderful thing. Just because it doesn't meet what I would think is great coffee that I would want to make or drink for myself does not have an impact on how I want that interaction to go, right? Like it takes a very special person to like really be open to criticism, right? Like I was just talking with this today, the other day about something in a different field. But it's like, do you really want to? Like, do you want? If you tell people what you think, do they really? Are they really open to that? Like, people tend not to be open to that, right? They just want to feel assured that they made a right choice. And it's like, okay, we can do that. We can do that. Power plant says the fats are oxidized. Oh, that sounds like a plausible. It's definitely not a pleasant. Now, the whole thing is that it's still kind of cold, but I wonder, could it be improved by making it colder? Meaning that if we make it colder, will it diminish some of these harsher tones that we're getting and make it just a little more palatable? We're going to see about that because I brought some ice here in my Darth Vader mug. My nephew gave this to me several years ago. And actually, he gave it to me, and really my sister-in-law gave it to me, but like my nephew gave it to me, and I was like, I don't really use thermal mugs, but actually I started using this quite a bit. For me, the mug thing is always one of those things where I'm like, do I really want to have carry a mug because now I have to bring it home, and that's a lot of responsibility. Oh no, we're gonna leave that there. We're gonna take it from here. So we put some ice. I got some ice. So now we're gonna chill it down even more, keep it as cold as we possibly can, to see what kind of results. Oh, that actually helped a little bit. So one of the things about like tasting is that when you go to the extremes, hot or cold, your palatability to sense flavors is diminished, right? The temperature extremes diminishes your ability to sense flavors. So by making it colder, so here the coffee is kind of like, probably now around 50 degrees or so. And it shows that what power plant calls oxidation, that harshness, that bitterness, that kind of roughness, that lack of like beautiful flavor. By cooling it down more, chilling it down more with the ice, it removes a lot of that harshness because now your palate doesn't sense it as readily. Well, we could go the opposite end and heat it up, which actually we probably should try that and see what we get out of it. So we're going to take a picture and wrong one. Let's put some cold brew in this. This is something that I never do. Like I never heat cold brew. I think it's kind of strange. But that's just me. Like if you do that, you should do that. Oh, actually, let me add some more. You should do that because, it's not so strange. If you like it, it's not strange. I just think it is. I just don't do that, right? So here we go. Now we're going to go here to our steam wand. Clear out our... Oh, no, I don't need to stretch. See, I'm so used to like doing this. I want to do that, but I don't have to do that. We don't want to aerate it. We just want to heat it. Now it's getting warm. It's starting to get warmer than I feel comfortable. So I'm going to switch hands. Okay, good. Good news. There we go. A little bit of heat. I did do a little stretching, so there's a little bit of aeration there. Now we're going to need another cup because I got more cups than I thought. Oh, look at that. It's kind of like Guinnessy. Huh? Look at this. Huh. That's fascinating. Look at that. All right, let's see here. Coffee Cove says, if it turns harsh or appears stronger, I will try adding some water to the glass. Good idea. A little at a time to taste. It works sometimes and worth trying if it does. Oh, good idea. Well, people try some of that. It's not terribly harsh, but it definitely, I'm comparing a lot of these, our flavor thoughts to what we tasted last week when we made it. Like, and it's really, so this is partially a question of like, not just food safety, but also a question of like, how long really should you keep your iced coffee? Like, I don't think you should keep it very long. I would think that probably it's worth doing every 2 days, every 3 days at the most, right? Like when I make iced tea, right? I'll just take the tea and I'll put it in a container. I'll actually put it in a container like this, put it by the window, let it steep all day long, and then like maybe drink it for like 2 days and then done. Right. So I drink a lot more tea than I do coffee, but the idea is the same: is that you want to consume your product as rapidly as possible, so you get, and not just for food safety, but really more for food enjoyment, right? Yeah, yeah. It's tight. It's meaning that compared to the flavor, like I have had this coffee as a brewed coffee, so the flavor is tighter. It's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no, no, that didn't help at all. Actually, that's worse. And I don't mean that it's a terrible coffee. It's just that it's just not. This is better. Like this, I prefer this. Yeah, I would. In this particular case, I prefer the cold over the hot, the heated. Yeah, it just no, 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 no. Let's see what Coffee Cove says. We're going to add some water. See if the bypass will help. Now, in this case, right, like adding the water with tasting this, and now suddenly I feel as though these are measures of desperation, right? Like we're just like, okay, I just need to consume the coffee now. Like we're past the point of joy. We're past the point of pleasurable hedonism. Like there's just none of that now. Like drinking that just this moment ago, it's like I only can ask myself why. Why would I want to drink that? Like that is just not misery, but misery. It's misery, right? It's like I'm just drinking it because I don't know why, right? Because I want to drink, like for me personally, I want to drink coffee because I want to enjoy it. Like I want to have that great flavor. I want to like have that experience of enjoying myself. This is not that. This is just like I got coffee that I made, and I made too much of it. And in order so that I don't feel like I wasted all my money, I'm going to drink it this way. And it was kind of harsh when I heated up, so I'm going to add some water, and now it's like watered down and not really enjoyable. My life sucks, right? That's the kind of feeling I get from that. Like that's just, I want to bin that. I'm ready to pitch that, because it's just like, why bother with that? Just go get some fresh coffee and let's make some fresh coffee again, right? So yeah, that's not good. How about go back to our original that has been slowly coming back up to room temperature, which is not at room temperature because like it still feels cold. Better, but tight. I think that this is the most pleasant of the three, the one that's on ice, right? The colder, hides some of the rougher elements of the natural version of the coffee, and it just makes it a little more palatable. Now let's see about if we add some sugar to this, which I don't have any sugar ready. But I pitched, like we made that simple syrup the other day. I pitched it already. I pitched it. What we're going to do is we're going to take our sugar, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it to our glass. We're just going to add a little bit. We're not going to add too much, just a little bit, just a little pinch. That's probably too much. Let's get our little cupping spoon. Now remember, I said that this is soluble in water. Now, where heat helps when you're talking about sugar solubility is that the heat speeds up the process, right? It helps it to go faster. That's really the only event. But as you can see here, I have not, most of it, not all of it's fully dissolved yet, but most of it is dissolved. And if I just keep working it, it will all dissolve. But that's good enough for what we're trying to do here to see the impact of sweet on this drink. But you can see here, right? Like, look at that. So pretty much, there's a little bit of granulation down there at the bottom. Let me see if I got my phone light because I still have not recharged the other light. There's some granulations down there, right? But a lot less. We're not going to worry about. I would presume that based on my extensive expertise in the field, plus but really more my predilection for sweeter things, I bet it's going to improve the flavor. Let's see. It's sweeter. No, that's not better. Is that better? It's different. I'm going to add some more to dilute it. I've increased the volume just a little bit. Now, so it has made it a little bit sweet, which in a certain aspect is pleasant. Some of the fruity notes of maybe the strawberry, the strawberry are highlighted a little bit, but it's not better. It's more pleasant. Like, okay, it's more pleasant in that there's a light sweetness to it that makes it very accessible. If you've ever had, so if you've ever gone to Starbucks and you've ever ordered the pink drink, there is a character of this coffee in this particular moment with this concoction that reminds me of some of the characteristics of the pink drink at Starbucks. Now, why do I know about the pink drink? Because my niece likes to go to Starbucks. And years ago, she was like, this is the great drink. You should try it. And I was like, well, okay, I'll try it. And I have ordered it a couple times since. It's kind of fun. It has nothing to do with coffee. But the pink drink, or this one, because this has a very, it's a natural process, Costa Rican, that has light roast, it's been lightly roasted. So not the way that it started was this very like strawberry cherry forward kind of coffee with some dark chocolate. The dark chocolate's not really present, but adding this quantity of sugar has kind of highlighted those strawberry notes a little bit, just a little bit, which makes it a little bit, adds a little bit of brightness to it. It kind of makes it fun, but is it better? So it's more palatable. It's much more palatable to drink. I could chug a lug it if I wanted to, but I think it's not really a chugging kind of drink. It's one of those sipping kind of coffees where you just want to sip it. Actually, as a drink just to pass the time, that's pretty darn good. But as a coffee to be like great, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. It doesn't make it better. Okay, let's see. Where are we now? PowerPoint says adding some milk never hurts either. True. And syrups go with this, says Coffee Cove. If one likes those, though I mostly drink black, I do like salted caramel and French vanilla. So good. In this case, I would not. Okay, so if I had a cold brew, like for example yesterday, like Matt's cold brew, very much a washed coffee, lots of darker chocolate notes, not really dark, but just a kind of like typical iced coffee kind of experience. This one's not. This is actually a very different style of iced coffee. But his iced coffee, he's like, man, have you ever tried it with like milk and like caramel syrup? And I was like, no, why would I do that? I'm a coffee person, dude. He's like, it's really good. It's like, bro, well, that's like, well, then you have totally convinced me. I will try it. So he put a little bit of caramel syrup and some milk. I like whole. He likes oat. Man, I gotta say, it was good. I chug and lug that 16-ounce drink. I'm like, "Gug, gug, 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 gug." So it can be very enjoyable, very, very enjoyable. This particular one, I would not put those kind of flavors, caramel or vanilla into, or maybe vanilla could be okay. But because this particular coffee has such a strong fruit character, I think, like, especially you put caramel, I think there would be like it. I don't think it would be great. I don't think it would be. This is actually this. It's kind of like, for me, it's one of those things that's like with a lot of foods. Let's say like steak, for example. I like salt. Like, yeah, once in a while I will indulge with something like Montreal steak seasoning because I kind of grew up with that kind of stuff. When I was younger, I used a lot of it. So, okay. But for the most part, if I'm getting nice quality steak, marbled and well aged, right? Like maybe if I get something like 21-day age and I got the time, which hopefully I do because I probably spent a lot of money on that stupid steak, I'm going to take salt. I'm going to salt that sucker like 2-3 hours ahead of time and just let it sit. And then I'm going to cook it. And that's all that I think that things need, is just a little bit of salt. And when it comes to coffee, if you're going to add something like to this particular coffee, we only added the sugar. And I think that was the right move because it doesn't necessarily improve the quality of the coffee. Like but it does improve the perception, the enjoyment of it. Like just the raw perception of like enjoying the coffee. It kind of makes it fun. It does make it kind of fun. Like, especially if I compare to this, like there's nice notes there. It's more approachable. It's more palatable than this one because it has ice to chill it down more. But even though this one is at the same temperature, is a warmer temperature, sugar does make it kind of fun. It does make it fun. Power Plant says, if I have leftover cold brew, I will freeze it in ice trays. Works as a chiller for later. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great suggestion for people to do. You can also add some sugar and freeze it in a block for granita. Oh, interesting. I like that. Great idea. Coffee ice cubes, says Andrew. Yeah, I mean, I would like, it's one of those things we would take. Back in my old shave ice days, we would sometimes freeze blocks with some flavor and then run in the machines. And one of the things, like, there's this company called Wyola Shave Ice in Honolulu. And I never really talked to them, but I was always kind of wondering, like, I would go there and have their shaved ice. And we had the same type of machines, same type of processes, but their quality of ice was so much better. Like, and it wasn't the blade, it wasn't the quality of the water, but something about the texture. And I'm convinced they put a small percentage, maybe like 1 or 2% sugar into their water that they freeze. And man, it just delivers this beautiful texture. And we tried to experiment with that. But the problem is when you go to like, that's why I think it's 1 or 2%, because higher percentages, we would actually get this on the surface of the block, there would be sugar, like liquid sugar, like a really thick syrup forming on the block. And that was always a pain. I was like, well, we can't use that for production because that just slows it down, right? So we never put that into production. But it was like, I was like, every time I went to Wyola, I was always like, every time I was in Honolulu, I went to Wyola, and I was always like, man, what are these guys doing to their ice that they can get such great and nobody else had that texture, only them. And I was like, Power Plant says, I pretty much stopped using sugar in favor of agave. Nice. And Andrew says, I only make coffee for immediate consumption, but next time I do French press, I'll do enough to do. Give one thing to keep in mind with the French press, right? That because the French press does leave particulates in the liquid. It's not filtered out completely. They're still small. Those could have an impact on the flavor. So just if you try it with the French press and you make the French press, you pour it into cube trays, and then you freeze it and you try it, and you feel that there's something off, that could be part of the reason, right? So maybe again, like try it that way first, see if you like it, see how it turns out. If you find that there's maybe too heavy notes or whatever, try it with brewed coffee, filtered coffee, really filtered coffee. You could press it and then pour it through a filter, and that'll be the same result. But you want to like have that. I think you might want to have extra filtration just to keep it better, keep the clarity more clean. Right? That's probably my only real suggestion in that respect. Gosh, we have less coffee now. And I still have 3 quarts. Look, there's still 3 quarts in this thing. What am I going to do with this? I have not seen any friends. I should maybe I'll go to maybe I will take this to the wood store and give it away. Like, I got extra coffee. Would you like some? Maybe that's what I'll do. I need to always stop by there. But yeah, there it is. There it is. So we tried the coffee 3 different ways. We tried it regular, or 4 different ways: regular, chilled, heated, and then we added some sweetener to it. Now, honestly, I think that if you don't want to add, if you find that the flavors are a little bit harsh, try the ice. I try them all because every coffee is going to be different, right? Like this is cold brew made with one particular coffee. And this particular coffee has very distinct characteristics. So the coffee you end up using for your cold brew will have different characteristics and may perform completely differently, right? Like you may try the same kind of like approach a week after you made it to see how you can like futz with it. And you may find that maybe the hot one is really the great way to go. And the rest were just kind of Right? So we just got to bear in mind that everything depends on the type of coffee. There's so many factors involved. It's very hard to give like definitive superlatives about what you should absolutely do in every situation, because everything is always in flux. Everything's changing. And it may be also that, every day this coffee will change slightly. So what we see today is true here may not be true tomorrow. It might not have been true 3 days ago. So these are all things to keep in mind. This is why I do think that from a professional standpoint, coffee as a product is kind of very interesting and dynamic, because there's so many things that could be at play, to try to understand that, master that, and then present that to guests, I think is always an interesting challenge, right? Because we're always trying to find a way to present the coffee to you in an interesting and compelling way, right? And that's the thing, is we want to be interesting, we want to be compelling. And as a professional, I realize that a lot of people will be coming to the shops because they just have that basic desire for coffee for whatever reason. They're not looking for an experience. They're not looking for elevation in their coffee. They just want a coffee. And I think that from me, the interest is, how do we provide just that coffee while slowly informing them of something better, right? For me, it's always about like, here's a coffee. Like, can I get a coffee? Here's your coffee, right? We're not going to give you a lot of rigmarole for it, right? Like if you came and said, can I have the cold brew? Here's your cold brew. Enjoy, right? I'm not going to tell you that it's a Costa Rican. I'm not going to tell you it's a natural process. I'm not going to tell you that it was lightly roasted, or that there are going to be notes of strawberry and cherry and dark chocolate when it's fresh. I'm not going to tell you any of that. Just wait. Here's your iced coffee. And at some point in time, you're going to take that iced coffee. You'll be like, oh, that's different, or that's pretty good, or that's excellent. I want to have more. And hopefully over time, for me, it's always a longer game, right? It's like over time, as you taste the coffee, you become curious, right? At the first time, you're not curious. You're just more concerned about not having bad. You've already had a lot of bad in the world. You're just trying to mitigate your ability to get the bad. Like you're like, okay, this place looks reputable. Let me go try it out. But you don't want bad, so you're just like, take whatever. But hopefully, once you get past that point of like, okay, it was pretty good, and I've gone there several times, and I've had very enjoyable coffees. Now that to me, that's when the curiosity may start to form in the mind of the guest, and that's when it's their someone has become most accessible to learning about or learning deeper about the coffee they're having, right? So you may go to coffee shops and you'll have these baristas and they want to tell you all this kind of rubbish about the coffee. And I say rubbish because you know what? No matter how accurate, no matter how interesting, no matter how deep that information can be, if you're not ready for it or you don't want it, what does it matter? It doesn't. It's just like it's a waste of my time. So therefore rubbish. But if you get that the guest at that right point when curiosity has reached the point where they want to ask, they want to learn more about it, they want to know, that's the time when it's like, oh yeah, this is what it's about. This is the blah, 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 blah. And then you go on and on and on, and they're like, this is amazing. And then they have a greater appreciation for it. And then they can tell their friends and be like, I tried this coffee, blah, 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 blah. And he said something was from Costa Rica, and like there was flavors of strawberry, and I don't know what they did with it. Picked by the hands of virgins, who knows? Something along those lines. Andrew says, bring them on down to Capital. I would. If I was going down there, I would. I'm not going to be down there at all. At least not certainly. I don't foresee being down your way in the window that I would feel good about. It's like maybe for today, like it was probably, I'd be concerned about serving this tomorrow, only because, other people will consume it. And it's like, okay, you gotta drink that stuff. Power Plant asked, did you catch the ending of Starfleet Academy? I thought it was an okay first season. Would like a second, but not necessary. I really enjoyed it. The more the season went on, I guess from your perspective, the more the season went on, the more that I liked it, right? The first two episodes I enjoyed overall. Because, for me, it's like, I'm fairly easy to please when it comes to this kind of thing, like Star Trek. Like, as long as there is Trek, that's better than no Trek. And actually, I've come to the point now that even though I was always a huge Star Wars fan when I was young, I like Star Trek much more than I think Star Wars. Mainly because, Star Trek is about like optimism. Star Wars is about just like, Star Wars is a pessimistic kind of world, right? Like, no matter what happens, evil prevails, right? Evil has always prevailed in Star Wars, and that's all that it's about. Imperialism and evil, totally dominating the galaxy. Like if we started like with the regular Star Wars series that came out in 1977, it's Dominion of the Empire. Then later it was Dominion by, and later the prequels, it's like we have like, here's the rise of the dark, right? The dark force is rising. The Jedi are at their zenith, right? They've got their big temple on Coruscant, and all this stuff is happening. They're at their zenith. These guys are like the baddest people in the universes, right? They're supposed to be amazing. None of them collectively can sense what's going on in the world. Palpatine is sitting right there in front of them. They can't sense it. Man, that is just like, what is going on here? Like, what? Really? We've been conditioned to think Jedi Knights are like the great force in the galaxy, and they couldn't see what was standing in front of them. I can't believe that. Them and their silly religion, right? Then we get to the Rey series, right? And in 30 years, so evidently the original Star Wars and then the Rey series is a 30-year separation, the same separation as in real time in our life. The Rebel Alliance has beaten the Empire. The Emperor is gone, well, although the Emperor still remains, as we know later, right? The Emperor still remains. And then suddenly, what in 30 years, the First Order has arisen. And not only have they arisen and have this armada of Star Destroyers that are of a whole nother generation than the Star Destroyers we saw like in the original series. Like, for example, like, we're still using aircraft carriers in the United States that are from like 30 years ago. Right? We're still using old ones. We're just getting rid of them now, but we're still kind of using them. We got bombers that are older than these Star Destroyers, right? So you're going to tell me that they've come with a whole new generation of Star Destroyers and now have an armada of Star Destroyers. And not only do they have that, but they've gone beyond this fractured empire, and a first order has arisen, and they have not only just built a Death Star, but they have converted a planet. They've separated the planet, put some kind of nuclear core into it to harvest the mantle of the planet, and now they have this big planetary weapon. In 30 years, man, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like, I look at the premise of it, I'm just kind of like, are you kidding me? Like, what? And then now, then there's Luke living as a hermit because he's all upset because, what's his face, Darth whatever, was a whiny baby. It's like, come on, man. No, at least Star Trek, we're like they're trying to like keep it, they're trying to look for something better in the world. Whereas like Star Wars is like, man, there's just it's just no hope and all despair. Star Wars is all despair. That's all Star Wars is, despair. Humanity is just in the toilet, and that's just where it's going to stay, no matter where they are in the galaxy. Right? At least that's my interpretation. Oh, man. But for Starfleet Academy, I liked it. I liked everything about it. Like I said, I'm very easy to please when it comes to those kind of things. I would rather have Star Trek. I would rather have what's called bad Star Trek than no Star Trek, right? And we've had many years without Star Trek, so I much prefer the years with Star Trek. And I'm not even a TNG fan, and I've never seen DS9. I'm really mainly a Voyager, and then later fan. I liked Enterprise. For me, and the thing I think that a lot of people have issue with, like with Starfleet Academy, people are like, well, it sucks. Like so many people are like, well, it sucks. Well, maybe it does. But part of the reason I think that it sucks, and so many people are in love with TNG, like I thought that Picard was a great season 1 and 2 in Picard. I thought was really interesting, really great. Season 3, I don't care about this. Season 3 was like, oh, this is stupid. This is dumb. And why is that? Because I'm not a TNG fan. Like I could care F all about TNG. Like, cool. I'm glad they were there. I'm glad Picard has his own thing, right? I like Picard. They did their thing, but really, Picard season 3 was a TNG hand job. I was like, really, man? It's just fan service. Like, because all the fandom was probably like, oh, we have Picard, but we don't see any of the TNG people. Well, that's good, because maybe they're doing something else in the universe, right? Like we don't need to see them all the time, right? Like as hey Starfleet Academy, like I'm a big Voyager fan, right? So I enjoy seeing like, oh, here's Beltra, here's what's his name, Chakotay, and some form of Janeway in Prodigy, and then the Doctor's on Starfleet Academy. Somehow he's managed to survive 1,000 years because of his holo matrix, right? But I'm not like, man, we need to see what happened with like, and I'm I've always been a big Ensign Kim fan, right? Because they're Asian guy, right on. But of course he doesn't get promoted for like the entire run of the show. But one of those things, it's like, I don't necessarily care where he is. I don't necessarily care where Tom Paris is or B'Elanna Torres, even though I love B'Elanna Torres. I don't care where they are now, right? Like, I don't need to see more of them. I enjoyed that. But I think also one of the things with like the problem of television series today is 10 episodes. Just not enough. Just not enough. TNG, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise, 23 episodes a season. That's a lot of shows. A lot of time to spend with people and episodes that you don't really like. But more importantly, it's time to get to know the characters. And so I think people have a fondness for a lot of these older characters because they had so much more time in the saddle with them, right? Like Discovery. People are always like, oh, Michael Burnham. They don't like Michael Burnham. Probably because she's black, but also because, you only had like 10 episodes a season. So in 5 seasons, there's 50 episodes. That's 2 years worth of like regular television. It's like, I don't know. Naomi says, hello, everyone. I lost track of time during a pod. That's all right. That's all right. Always good to see you. Peter's asking, is this live? Is it? It could be Memorex. It could be Memorex. Boost is with us. What's going on? Disagree with your Star Wars respectfully. No worries. I don't have any problem with you disagreeing with me. Being a Star Wars fan and having delved deeper into the anthology expanded universe, the new movies are a bunch of. I don't know. Are we in disagreement then? I hope that I wasn't like, Ray's series was the greatest series ever of like Star Wars. I don't know. Or maybe you meant Star Trek. I don't know. Musa says, please do not judge Star Wars based on all this new Disney canon. The expanded universe is much better. I mean, I gotta say, years ago, I read the Timothy Zahn books, like the Heir of the Empire. I mean, I love those. I thought those were great. I wish they kind of made movies about that. But my problem with Star Wars really is not about Disney. It's really about Lucas, right? Like Lucas is the one that I think just destroyed it all. Like, I mean, like he made the series, the original trilogy, right? And of course, Larry Kasdan made the best movie, or Irvin Kershner made the best movie ever of those series. To me, Empire Strikes Back, almost perfection in a movie, right? And a sci-fi movie. Made this great universe, and then goes back in 1999 to release another prequel. I'm like, why do you need to do that? Because now you've taken now 3 movies to show us that Darth Vader, this badass guy who's like the evil guy in the Empire, in the whole galaxy, he's the most evil guy. You're like, God, this is the guy to be feared. He's like evil personified. He's in this black mask, and he's just like the dark side is with him. Like, you're just like, man, we need to like battle this guy. He's just the worst. And then we find out, why is he that way? Because he's a whiny bee. Because what he lost Padme. Oh, God. The moment I saw that, I was like, that's like, Star Wars sucks. It's like, Lucas sucks. Lucas is what brought this whole thing down. Like if you ever watch those like re-releases of Star Wars, like Star Wars, A New Hope, all that extraneous BS that he put in there, all this like CGI, what does that even add? Nothing, right? What, you don't want Han to shoot first? Han shot first, for God's sake. Own it. You wrote it, you shot it, you released that way. Own that thing, right? Don't change it just because, we want to make Han seem more benevolent. No, Han was a pirate. Han was a badass. Like, I saw Han Solo in 1977, and I'm like, I want to be like that guy. I want to wear the vest. I want to have the blaster on my hip, right? That's what you want. Right? I want to get the girl, the really hot, like, princess, right? That's not my sister. Right? I don't want to be that dude. I'm not on Epstein files. I don't want to be that guy, right? So, I don't know. These are, if you disagree with me, I take that respectfully, and I'm not here to like, hate on your choices. But I don't know, Busa. I don't know if we're that different. If you don't like the last series, I don't know if we're like not in agreement. Peter says the first 3 Star Wars is all I watch. That's all you need. That's really all you should be watching. Don't watch the rest. Oh, actually, I thought some of the expanded universe stuff was very good. Like the Rogue One? The one where like Cassian Andor's on the planet, and they're transmitting the documents to Princess Leia, right? That one. I thought that was very good. And I remember I'm watching in the theater, right? I'm watching theater, and they're on the planet, and they're I think it's when they started to like attack on the beach. And I was like, why are they on a beach? This is very strange. But I just was thinking, you know what? That's when it hit me in the theater. And I was like, these people all got to die, because they're not seen in the first movie. There's nothing, we don't see them at all ever again. And I was thinking, oh man, they got to kill everybody. They're going to kill everyone in this movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is really crazy. I was like, that's crazy, right? Like, you don't really see movies where they're all going to have to die because, the story dictates it. And I was like, oh, that's just brutal, man. Jyn Erso and those 2 Asian guys, and like Cassian Andor, they're all going to die. They're all going to die on this planet. There will be no more story. It's the end. And I was like, God, this is great. I was like, this is great, right? Because, it's like, it could be Lucas again trying to do more CGI later, where he's going to add them in. Like, oh, here's Jyn Erso hanging out on the Tantive 5 with Leia. How did she get there? I don't know. They used a transporter or something. Booster says, I'd also love Trek, but I don't like the sterile environment. Everything has a fix using technology. I hear you. I hear you. I get that. I get that. There is a lot of technobabble in Star Trek. That has always been a big criticism of it. And he says part of getting hooked on a show is becoming invested. Yeah, and that's why I think that like a lot of people have a harder time connecting with these newer shows because there's only like some of these series are 6 episodes. Are like 6 episodes. What? It's all over. What? I personally hate that. Like what was it? The one that I was watching recently, but that was set in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where everybody like becomes one. I forgot the name of the series, but the blonde girl, like that 6 episodes. You're like, come on, man, or whatever the shortness of episodes. Like, come on, man, we need more episodes to get down with these people. Booster says Timothy Zahn. Yeah, I love those. I love those books. I don't recall the story because I mean I read them like in the 90s when they first came out, but I just remember that one. Those are great books. Great books. Peter says Disney is not like what it used to be. Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, Boo said, hey, wait, I think we are kind of in agreement, and generally speaking, in Star Wars. Like, I'm not a hater of Star Wars because I grew up loving it, and I've always been a big fan, right? Always been a big fan, but like, I just think it's a darker world. It's like, and I like the optimism of Star Trek. Like Star Trek is like, we want to be a better world, we want better universe, right? Whereas Star Wars, like everybody's getting crushed. Everyone's getting crushed. Like even like it's like the last of the Ray series. They're at that like fort in the mountain, and they're like, "We need help. Come help us." To all the rebellious people out there in the world standing against the First Order, and they left them hanging to dry. They were like, "It's like the United States right now. We need help in the Strait of Hormuz. Come help us." And everyone just kind of like, "Oh, sorry, Captain, can't help you." It's like, that's just really pluribus. Thank you, Andrew. Oh, gosh, I enjoyed that series, but I wish it was longer. But I gotta say, back to Starfleet Academy, man. Tig Notaro, I love Tig Notaro. I was disappointed that they took so long to bring Tilly. Like, I remember when they started talking about Starfleet Academy on Discovery, or around that time, they I thought that Tilly was going to be a big part of it. Like, I thought Tilly was going to be like a headline, and she was in 1 episode. I was like, wait, where's the whole season? The whole time leading up, after they started releasing trailers, and the whole season, I'm like, where's Tilly? Where's Tilly? I'm here because of Tilly, because I like Tilly. Right? I think she's a fun character. I think Mary Wiseman does a great job with her. And I'm like, I want to see more of Tilly. Hopefully next season we'll see more because, we're supposed to go to year 2. See, that's the thing. It's like, as the season progressed, only 10 episodes. Like, it's fast. It's like, to me, they're jumping. They have to, because they want to do it as a school year. So that 9-month period that we're in school, they got to, and to do that in 10 episodes, you're jumping almost like a month each time. So you're missing out on so much, I feel, right? Like if we did a series of 23 episodes that ran September to May, like a school year would, we would see them on a weekly basis, and we could see that progression better and get to know things more. Like, like we went from like them nearly getting killed on the Athena to like a month or 2 later, while they're still trying to deal with it. Like we could see, if we went weekly, we could see that progression. And I think that would be so much more interesting and also more endearing, because people would watch and then they would be like, okay, they would learn more about them. Like I saw this meme this morning where there was some dude, and who knows if it's true, maybe it's true, but he was a guy that was anti same-sex marriage or something like that, some kind of group, and he wanted to go and testify before the city council. So he went there, sat in the gallery, and of course he had to wait his turn. It took all day long, so several hours go by, and he's listening to other people who are in favor of in favor of same-sex marriage or whatever it was, speaking about their experience, why it should be allowed. And the meme was like, well, by the time he got to speak against the bill, he was in favor because he spent that time listening to people talk about their experience. And that's where I think that, the shows reflect reality, is that if we spend the time learning about that which we do not, meaning that if we have 23 episodes to spend with a crew on a show, we get to learn so much about them. Just like this guy spent hours listening to these people talk about their experience. He got to know more about their experience. He got to know more about them. We get more understanding. And I think that's why a lot of these older shows, TNG especially, is well loved, because you know what? Encounter at Farpoint, the very first pilot episode, by most people who I've heard from, because I've never seen it, they say it sucks. They say it's one of the worst TNG episodes ever. And that was the very first. That's what they based the entire series off of. So the more time you spend, and the people spent 7 years times 23 episodes, 200, what, 220, 230 episodes with people, 230 hours with these crew. That's a big time. That's a big difference between 50 hours with Discovery's crew. Anyway, Pluribus and its 9 episodes, I sort of liked it. I did like it too. Never make movies past episode 3. The science speaks. I hear you in that. Maybe that's why Star Wars did 3, 3, and 3. Busa says he's currently watching Space 1999, 2 episodes for. Man, Space 1999, that's kind of like 1979. It came out back then. Barbara Bain and Martin Landau. I used to watch that like in that era. Like I thought that was awesome. The Eagle One. I was like, that's awesome. But nothing burns in my mind more than Jessica Six from Logan's Run. I was like, oh my God, I'm in love. All right, man. Now that we've burned another 20 minutes, that's all I have for you today. We've done our cold brew and a bit about Star Trek and Star Wars, a little bit of diatribes on that. So the plan is to be back again tomorrow with more of the coffee Q&A. We're going to do some more. Let me know what you'd like to see, what you'd like to discuss. Like I'm going to be looking more at some of the brewer like suggestions that you made, as well as we're going to be looking also in the coming week or two about other methods of making cold brew, other ways that you might consider making cold brew for the summer. So hopefully we can get ready for summer, right? We need to be more cognizant of that. But if you have other ideas or topics that you'd like for us to explore, let me know, either in the comments or send me a message or whatever. Star Wars 4 down. Oh, you mean the Jar Jar Binks one? Yeah, that was not good. Indiana Jones 4 down. Come on, man. Indiana Jones 4. You didn't like that? I mean, like, you, of all people, science man, should know, like, the efficacy of running and jumping into a 1950s or 1930s era refrigerator to protect yourself from thermonuclear blast or atomic blast. I totally believe that. Totally. All right. That's it for today. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Good to see all of you. Back again tomorrow. So hope you have a great one and see you next time. Oh, by the way, speaking of Jaws, remember the mayor of Jaws 2 was the same as the mayor in Jaws original.